Welcome to the Fantasy Thinker. I'm Jared, and it's time once again for the monthly update. This is the update for March 2025, and I am desperately waiting for spring. So yeah, need a little more warmth in my life, but I had a pretty decent month for February for reading, considering February is very short. Um, but I still managed to finish off three books and get into several more. So, to start right off the bat, I finished for the month of February The Vanished Birds by Simon Jimenez. And what a treat this book was. I really had a great time with it. I really loved his venture into sci-fi because I had last year. My book of the year was "The Spirit Cuts Through Water" by Simon Jimenez, a mythological fantasy type thing, and I loved that. I loved his style. The Vanished Birds was his first novel, and I can see where how his style developed into what it became for The Spirit Cuts Through Water. But he has quite a unique style, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy reading. I think it's quite beautiful. For the Vanished Birds, it was like I said, sci-fi setting, um, and it really it really hit all the points for your classic sci-fi situation, and I really could see his influences in there, and his nods to the past for sci-fi, and just a wonderful story that was very touching and quite dark in places, and but it was yeah, very very well done book. So I really liked The Vanished Birds. It was a very cool read. So I also finished another really cool sci-fi book, Imperio by Jack Vance, part of the Sci-Fi Masterworks read along that I do with my friends on pagechewing.com. And I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this book. I Probably the fastest book I've read this year because I just couldn't put it down, and it was only 200 pages long, and so I just really flew through it. I thought Vance's prose was engaging and really kept me interested and moving, and I loved his world building. He did so much in 200 pages, and I love the story in here, and it's about somebody trying to live up to this legend of Inferio, learn about it, and eventually kind of become. So it was a very well done book. Had a good time, and had a good chat with my friends from Page Chewing on that. So check that out as well. Um, and I've done reviews on both of those books on my channel, so non spoilers. So check those out. And I also did a non spoiler review for another book I finished, which is The Great When by Alan Moore. And once again, another book I had a great time with. Really fantastic. I just did a talk with my friend Chris at the Chronicle Chris. So check that discussion out. And on this, it starts off with non spoiler about the first 15 minutes, and then we get into everything else that happens in here. A fantastic book, a fantastic read. It's the first book in a planned 5 book series, from what I understand, and what a way to start. It can, you know, I don't know how self-contained it is yet. Uh, I was quite satisfied. I was quite satisfied with the ending, and but there is plenty in here that hints at future stuff to come. But I think it could be read on its own if one wanted to. But I plan on continuing in this series because like I said, I had a great time. The Great When by Alan Moore was a great read. All right, so that's everything I read and I finished in February. What am I reading right now? Okay, Initius Trial by Janie Wirtz. Yeah, I am about 150 pages into this book, and 150 pages of this book is probably like 300 pages of any other book because the print is extremely tiny, um, which is too bad. Uh, but it doesn't matter. It's January. It's his writing. It's Initius Trial. It's the ninth book in the Wars of Light and Shadow epic series, and it is fantastic. It starts off a new story arc called Sword of the Cannon, and still trying to figure out what that means. But um, yeah, continuing one of the greatest epic fantasy series of all time, and reading along with my friends on page chewing with that one as well. So, what else am I reading right now? A Pack of Wolves by P.L. Stewart. He was so kind, my friend P.L. Stewart was so kind to give me an ARC copy, advanced reader copy of this book, and I am having a blast with it. I'm about 70% through right now, and really enjoying it. If you know anything about the Drowned Kingdom saga, this is the fifth book in that series, and if you know anything about it, you know it's mostly told from the perspective, first person of Othron, and he is not the best person in the world. Yeah, but I think he's getting better. He's learns. He's learning. He's getting older. He's learning. All right, but anyway, having a great time with a Pack of Wolves. Stewart has put together a fantastic story that really in a fantastic world that he that we're exploring as we go along here, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. So, a Pack of Wolves. I am also in the middle of reading Cloud Atlas. I'm actually almost done. I got about 50 pages left in here, by David Mitchell, and we're doing this as a read along for our podcast, Speculative Speculations. So if you haven't checked out that podcast yet, check it out if you want to read along with science fiction books. So we're almost done with Cloud Atlas. We'll be having a final discussion on this book soon. And so, am I enjoying this book? I am. I am enjoying this book. I find it a little frustrating at times, but that frustration is from the um, just from the structure and the way he's putting the story together. It's quite brilliant. He's a brilliant writer, and so I have a feeling my enjoyment of this book is going to be totally wrapped up in how he finishes it off. So take that for what you will, but it has been a wild ride. Okay, I am also reading Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Yeah, and the classic. This is part of a read along with page chewing friends for our literary fiction side hustle, I guess you would call it. And so we're one of our side hustles, yeah. And so yeah, I'm about almost 300 pages into that. About 150 to go or so, and I'm enjoying it. I like it. I'm liking the prose. I like 19th century prose, anyways. It's kind of that's it's fun. I like that style. That it's a bit more flowery than what some of the stuff we get today, in some cases, but I enjoy that kind of thing. So, and I enjoy a lot of other classic literature. So this has been fun so far. All right. Okay. So ongoing stuff that I'm reading. These like short stories or other projects. I read another chapter's worth out of Assassin's Apprentice to go along with the comic that came out, Assassin's Apprentice 3, number 3, issue 3. And so I'm still continuing on with my analysis of the comic versus the prose here. I am also read another short story out of Reeve the Just and Other Tales by Stephen Donaldson. This one was The Jinn Who Watches Over the Accursed. And we had a discussion on my channel about that short story with Fasha and Chris um, as part of my short fiction side hustle. And so we will be continuing on this upcoming month with the next story in this collection called The Killing Stroke. And so if you want to follow along with that, go ahead and get this and follow along with that. Will be our next discussion on short fiction side hustle. I also, of course, read another little short folk tale out of Chinese myths and folk tales, and as I do, as I do every month. And let's see, this one was called "The Trader's Son," and it was a um, another situation where let me see if I remember this correctly here. Yeah, someone comes home, they find a fox in the hen house, so to speak. That's a metaphor. They find a fox in their house, and when they do, the mom starts acting strangely, and so they find this fox like every night, and so the son finally tries to catch the fox, and he does one day, and he jumps at him with some scissors and cuts off the end of his tail, and there's a little blood on the floor and stuff like that, and then the when they do that, the fox doesn't show up again for a little while, and the mother starts getting a little better, and then they go to see I don't know. Somehow um, they run into somebody who tells them where the foxes live, and they go to see the foxes, and they yeah, I forget what happened. Yeah, it was kind of strange, as all these tales are strange, and oh yeah, they ended up selling the foxes some wine or something, and then the foxes leave, and the mother recovers, and so very strange folk tale there. All right, and I also read another short story out of Tales Before Tolkien: The Roots of Modern Fantasy. This one was called The Bomb-Off Explosive by William Hope Hodgson. And this one was a little different out of here. It was actually very exciting and to read about. And it was a little different because it was actually a little bit more sci-fi than it was fantasy. It was about this scientist who's trying to recreate the pain that Christ felt on the cross. And he hooks himself up to this machine because he felt that that kind of pain actually affected the air and the ether around him. And so he was trying to recreate that to control it somehow. He thought it was some kind of energy that he could control like a scientist. And so it was interesting. And it was written in 1912. And so it was during the time of the dynamo and and electricity and all that stuff, and so it really made sense for the time period that they were trying these wacky science experiments and stuff like that. And it veered into a little bit into fantasy with the whole aether and darkness being created from the pain of the recipient and stuff like that. But it was yeah, a really cool tale in that sense. So another tale from Tales Before Tolkien. And all right, so I think I'm also reading some more short stories out of the Big Book of Science Fiction for our Speculative Speculation podcast as well. Yeah. So, all right, that's everything I've read and am reading right now. I am going to be starting very soon here this book, which the author Vaughn Roycroft was so kind to send me wrapped in this really cool paper that's like the map of his world. I thought that was very cool, very neat, clever, and so I appreciated that a lot. And he sent me this advanced reader copy of Destiny's Doom by Von Roycroft, and and this is the third book in the Sundered um, Nation trilogy, and yeah, so I am very excited to get this. I loved the first two books in this trilogy, and yeah, I can't wait to dive back into this world that Von Roycroft, this pseudo historical world that Von Roycroft has invented. It's very, very, very little hints of fantasy, if any at all. It's definitely more on the historical feel side, other than it's a newly created world that's not ours. So I plan on reading that, starting that this month, and we'll see how far I get. I also going to read uh, A Scanner Darkly by Philip K. Dick. It's part of the Sci-Fi Masterworks read along. And I do hope, I don't know if we're going to get to it, but I did pick this up, and I do hope to at least start some of it. This is a nonfiction book, so it's not like I have to follow a story that much, or anything like that. I can take my time with it. But it's a nonfiction book called Fall and Ascent. I can't read that white writing. I don't know why people put that kind of. I don't think that was a very good decision to have that kind of writing on a picture like that, a very light, bright picture like that. But, um, anyways, Fallen Ascent, Individuation in the Malazan Book of the Fallen by Michael Woods, with a foreword by Stephen Erickson, which I did read that already. It's pretty cool. So I saw that. I had to pick this up. This is Carl Jung's concept of individuation, which is he goes through and sees how it relates to each book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and I'm looking forward to getting into this because yeah, I got to have a nonfiction read every year, so this will be my first one, if not my last, but definitely, or hopefully not my last. But um, I was glad to find something that really piqued or grabbed my attention for the nonfiction side of things. All right. I think that pretty much wraps it up. So let me know what you're going to be reading this month, what you finished off, what you enjoyed, and keep an eye out for all those discussions I've had on the various books and the reviews I put out for certain ones. And above all, be good to each other. Thank you.